I'm gonna reroute the thermo drive.
Electronic mail failure.
Stored forever in a virtual library.
Computers can't swim.
They can now.
Data termites. The website. It's alive.
Movies
And Mainframes.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Movies and Mainframes, the podcast that is going to explore and discuss the representation of technology in media. I'm your host, Andy, and with me today is Garrett Gross. How you doing today, Garrett?
Oh, I'm doing great, Andy. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Well, listeners, as you know, the last time Garrett was on this podcast, we talked about 1985's Real Genius, a movie that was near and dear to our hearts, a movie that you could tell meant a lot to both of us while growing up. And today, the movie that we are going to talk about, at least for me, is on the other side of that spectrum.
I mean, Andy, this movie is a just textbook example of how to make a bad hacker movie.
Yes. So today we watched 2001's Swordfish. Directed by Dominic Sena and starring John Travolta, Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, and Don Cheadle. Let me read a quick synopsis here, and we will get into our notes. And by the way, Garrett, listen to this official Google synopsis of this movie because it's ridiculous and factually wrong. It says, "There exists a world within our world, a world beneath what we call cyberspace. A world protected by firewalls, passwords, and the most advanced security systems. In this world, we hide our deepest secrets, our most incriminating information, and of course, a whole lot of money. This is the world of Swordfish. The world's most dangerous spy is hired by the CIA to coerce a computer hacker, recent release from prison, to help steal $6 billion in unused government funds."
Which is so ridiculous because I saw this as like a heist movie with just like a security component to it. Like it didn't strike me as this is a hacker movie at all. I mean, there was just, mostly mayhem and explosions with just a little bit of worm building.
Yeah, exactly. And they say in this synopsis, it says to steal $6 billion, it was $9 billion.
9.5 billion. Come on.
And I like it in this official synopsis. It gives away, quote unquote, the big twist.
Right.
That John Travolta is actually a secret government agent working for a secret government organization called Black Cell that we're supposed to believe was set up by J. Edgar Hoover in the 50s.
So that kind of struck me as, okay, so we're Black Cell and we do whatever we can to fund our retaliatory method.
Yeah. So he works for Black Cell. Black Cell has been, they can do any means necessary to preserve the American way. So they can do anything they want that they feel is necessary to, keep America chugging along. So in this movie, John Travolta's character Gabriel has this whole speech that in the 1980s, the DEA set up an operation called Operation Swordfish, and to infiltrate and gather intel on drug traffickers, drug runners, everything like that. You obviously need capital to be in that world and everything. So they set up these shell corporations and these funds and everything like that so they could be a part of that world. In 1986, this operation was decommissioned, but that $400 million sat in accounts earning interest. And then 15 years later, in 2001, when this movie takes place, it is now worth over $9 billion, which, first of all, excellent return on investment.
I mean the best.
Yeah.
I'm horrible with money. Just ask my wife. But there's nothing that you could do to get that kind of return from a bank.
No, absolutely not. The whole time I was thinking, man, why is my 401k not doing that? This is
right.
Sucks. Come on.
Maybe I should get into government espionage, and my money matures a lot faster that way.
And so my biggest question about this whole movie is that John Travolta, big reveal, is he actually works for Black Cell. He's not this lone terroristic type guy or whatever. He works for Black Cell, secret government agent. The DEA set up this money in the 80s. Why does there need to be a bank heist? I mean, doesn't They have a senator who's like a handler and everything. Like you're telling me nobody in their government organization with their tendrils and everything can just get a hold of that money?
I mean, let's be honest. There are known ways that the government can funnel money back and forth. Like, you don't need to do some kind of bank heist. And then, and I'm sure we'll get to this, but the kind of cream on top of it was the whole, like, I forget what his speech was, but like, well, if you could, solve a major pandemic and you had to kill one child, would you do it? It's like, no, that's the whole point. Like, no, we wouldn't.
I know. And so, yeah, we're going to be all over this episode because this movie, dude, it's crazy. So, but
it's a Frankenstein of hacker heist government conspiracy movies is what it is.
Exactly. And so whenever he's giving that speech, and I will say it is a bold take on this character, Gabriel, played by John Travolta, because he gives that whole speech like, what would you sacrifice for whatever? Would you kill, like you just said, would you kill one child for a pandemic? And, Hugh Jackman, everybody's like, no, because then you're just no better than the terrorists that you're trying to stop. That's the whole point of having morals and everything. But by the end of this movie, Gabriel gets away with it. He literally, in a boat, rides out into the sunset with the beautiful woman with the femme fatale with $9 billion richer. He gets no comeuppance. He gets no, nothing happens to him. He gets away scot-free. But I guess it's okay because he's killing terrorists, even though we've seen him kill so many innocent people all throughout this movie. But it's okay because Hugh Jackman got his daughter back. Yay, happy ending. So I will say, I mean, they went there and it's like, I can't help but when I watched this movie because of, Dune being very popular right now because, the Dune 2 just came out in the theaters earlier this year and everything. And I can't help but think like the end of this movie is exactly the same problem that Frank Herbert had whenever he came out with the Dune book, where it's like,
exactly,
no, you idiots, you're not supposed to celebrate this guy. He's not the good guy. Right. He's a horrible human being. We shouldn't put our faith in him. We shouldn't, And so all I could think about was that, because it's just, again, like, no, this guy should, I mean, at the very least, like, he should be riding off into the sunset and Halle Berry puts a bullet in him.
Right.
And then you find out like, oh, it was a triple cross. She wasn't working for the DEA, but she was actually in,
CIA
some other
or something.
Yeah.
And sorry for all the listeners to spoil this plot, but I do not recommend that you watch this movie.
Agreed. I mean, the only reason I would say to watch it is just because, I mean, to see what we all enjoyed back in the early 2000s, pre 9/11 and everything like that, because this movie's wild. This movie came out 3 months before 9/11 happened.
And according to what I read, this actually suffered quite a bit because they stopped a lot of the showings post 9/11, like delayed the release into VHS or DVD or whatever, because it had so many like exploding buildings and stuff.
This just shows how the movie industry has changed. The box office has changed. This movie came out June 8th in theaters nationwide. Wow. So 3 months later, they had to pull showings of this movie. That's insane to me nowadays, because now it's like, if you don't catch a movie within the first 3 or 4 weeks,
it's gone.
It's gone, or
it's nuts.
Regulated to that one small theater with a 4 p.m. showing. Like, that's it. But I was blown away by that factor. It was like, this movie was still chugging along 3 months later, and it only made $140 million.
Where did you see what the budget was?
Wasn't the budget like 102?
Something like that. I was going to ask you about that, because like, listeners, you got to realize this was like a blockbuster movie at the time. This was highly anticipated. I don't think Hugh Jackman was much of a name yet, but like John Travolta definitely was. Halle Berry definitely was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this
no,
is-
I believe I didn't write down the figures, but I think what I remember, the budget was $102 million. And I didn't see worldwide gross, but over here in the States, it was $140 million. And the fact that it was still in theaters 3
That's
months
crazy.
later,
That's crazy.
That's nuts to me. I want to talk about how at the very beginning of this movie, I mean, within the first few frames of the logos and everything like that, that immediately you can feel the influence of the Matrix
Big time.
on this movie. If the Matrix didn't exist, this movie wouldn't look and feel this way at all.
Because this was bullet time, right? Same type of
Yeah,
still
they
shot
had
panorama.
so that opening action sequence that they revisit later in the movie, you know, because they flash forward, the bullet time explosion at the time was Warner Brothers' biggest visual effect that they ever tried to tackle. According to my research, 135 cameras were used together to composite together to create that shot. And but also while watching this movie, what is the obsession with the Claymore mine concept? Because it keeps coming up. It's not like this one instance. Because whenever the senator's right-hand man gets blown up in his car, it's using the same method, because you see all the cars next to it get shredded with those ball bearings, which I would argue is, no, you want everything to go in to that explosion. If you're,
if you're trying to kill one person.
just take out everything. But I just found this obsession. It's like somebody found out how a Claymore mine worked and was like, "Oh, that's super cool.
Everything
I'm going to put it
we
in
do
this
here.
Exactly.
Everyone's a Claymore. You get a Claymore. You get a Claymore.
But man, the look of this movie, this aesthetic, I am so glad it died out. Because
terrible.
man, because I mean, it works for the Matrix, because the Matrix is a simulation. The world is sick. So all those sickly greens and everything, it works because you're supposed to feel at unease and like something's not right. But then after that, I mean, this aesthetic was just everywhere, and not just in movies, but like in video games, it was everywhere. And it was just, everybody refers to it as the P filter, where just everything is yellow and, dirty browns and those sickly green hues. And then those just hot spots for no reason. There's just areas like on people's heads or in corners of room where it's just somebody's got a Fresnel just with no filter, just bam, making a hot spot. And I'm so glad it died out, because every time I watch these, it's a time capsule of like, ugh, this color timing sucks.
And one of the things that really, really annoyed me is the first shot where John Travolta is talking about Al Pacino movies or something, and it's got that fade in, fade out focus. Like, I wanted to vomit. Like, it was like, this is actually nauseating me. Who approved this?
Mm-hmm. I know. I couldn't.
Really bad.
I couldn't stand it either, because they're in and out of focus so much that it's just messing with your eyes and like, what? Stop it!
It's
man.
very bad.
But speaking about that speech, so in the movie, it opens up with this monologue commentary by John Travolta straight down the barrel of the camera, and he's giving this meta, speech about Hollywood not pushing the envelope, not going far enough, this and that. And the example he uses, I find very confusing, because he brings up Dog Day Afternoon and he starts praising the movie, like one of Al Pacino's best performances, great direction, great editing, all this stuff. But then he talks about that the movie didn't go far enough, that Hollywood needs to push the envelope and this and that. And it's like, well, that movie's based on a true event. And sure, they changed some things to make it, quote unquote, entertaining. But the way that movie ends happened in real life. One of the bank robbers was shot by the FBI, happens in the movie. And the other one was caught and sent to prison for 20 years. happens in the movie.
I'm not sure how you push the envelope more on that. Like, what did you want? Some claymore explosions, maybe?
Yeah, that's what it needed. It needed claymores. We needed to see Attica in bullet time. Attica.
That's right. That's right.
I just found it so weird that it's like, what?
That also seems to be like a Travolta thing. Like he injected that in the movie, because I also read, and I've forgotten about this, but in Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta makes some Attica reference as well. So he must have some fascination with this movie.
Yeah. And it really just feels like a holdover from, how popular Pulp Fiction was just 7 years earlier, where everybody was trying to inject in their scripts these ramblings and monologues and these conversations that have nothing to do with it, like Quarter Pounder with cheese. It works in a Quentin Tarantino world, and
Absolutely
so many
does.
people were trying to bite that style, where it's like, hey, what about if in the middle of this hostage situation he's just talking about Dog Day Afternoon, or what about if and so it doesn't feel natural, doesn't feel like it fits that character, and it's just like, ugh.
We'll run out of time if we do this, but you could draw so many compares and contrasts between that and Pulp Fiction, because like the costuming in Pulp Fiction was spot on, like just absolutely perfect. The costuming in this movie was ridiculous. Like when Hugh Jackman shows up to the club and Halle Berry's like, I like your suit. It's like, what, are you wearing a suit to a dance club? Like, whoa, what universe are we in? The hacker terrorist universe, apparently.
Exactly. No, John Travolta's look in this movie is chef's kiss.
Can we talk about his hair?
Yes. So he has if you haven't seen the movie, he has a Dutch boy haircut, butt cut, split right down the middle,
with
looking
highlights.
like the Jack of Spades with highlights. He doesn't have a soul patch. He has a soul patch landing strip. That sucker
So
goes
bad.
all the way down.
All the way down. Yeah,
he
really
wears
bad.
Euro trash suits, well fitted, but Euro trash style. He drives very shiny, shark skin style. He drives a European car. The steering wheel's on the other side, and he even smokes European style, like how you would expect how you would expect like a French bad guy in a 1950s movie to smoke. He's just, but then, and I understand they're trying to paint him as like this worldly entity who just slips in and out, or whatever. But then he speaks, and it's John Travolta.
It's just John Travolta, right?
Hey, you watch Dog Day? Like, yeah.
We're gonna blow up some stuff, guy.
I mean, I really wish he would have, like, at least whenever he's Gabriel, before you find out he's part of Black Cell, I really wish he had some kind of accent of just, trying something, because, I mean, that's the thing with John Travolta. He'll, like, in all his movies, he'll take some big swings, they don't always work, but usually he, like, shows up to play and does stuff, and I really wish he would have, like, gone more into this ridiculous character.
But again, Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction was not John Travolta. Like, you had that suspension of disbelief that it wasn't John Travolta. And in this one, it absolutely was John Travolta, the terrorist. Oh my God.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this, because I want to talk about this first hacking scene. It just it made me cringe so bad.
So bad. And so, yes, let's talk about it. So you're talking about in the nightclub with Hugh Jackman.
Right. That's right.
So Hugh Jackman, his name is Jobson. He's gone to prison for, a hack in the past. He's lost his custody and rights to see his daughter. He's a guy who's just living on the fringes now. He's a loser. And Halle Berry approaches him. There's a job for him. They need to meet Gabriel. He's taken to meet Gabriel at this super cool elite nightclub. And he's brought into a room, not even a room, just like a section of this nightclub.
Right, with
like a VIP.
Curtain.
Yeah, like a VIP section of the nightclub. And so Gabriel gives him a test of skills, and the test of skills is he puts a laptop in front of him with the login screen for the DOD, and for added pressure, he says you have 60 seconds to do it. For even more added pressure, he puts a gun to his head. Vinnie Jones does.
Uh-huh.
And for even more added pressure, this is a corporate podcast, so I won't go into super detail, but a woman is pleasuring Hugh Jackman while he has to do this hack in 60 seconds. And this is the way this plays out and what they show you happening is just so ridiculous and so outlandish. It is, I mean, the minute Hugh Jackman touches that keyboard, half the screen is taken up in code and commands. And
it reminds me of like the Lawnmower Man, where they're just like just inserting random gobbledygook onto the screen. Now, as an aside, if I'm hacking into the DoD and I have a gun to my head, I would want Bullet Tooth Tony with his hand on the trigger.
Of course,
I mean, who else would you want to have? I thought that was pretty cool to see him. Was that earlier or later than Snatch? It had to.
That was after Snatch. I believe it was in like 99 or 2000.
Okay. That was cool to see him.
So yeah, Vinnie Jones is in this movie. Doesn't have a lot, but finally at the end of the movie, he gets his Vinnie Jones, signature scene of threatening somebody with
you
all
don't
his.
Do this, I'm gonna do this. And corporate podcast, we won't go into what exactly he says, but yeah. So. I love this because this is really what I kind of feel like I was tapped to add to this podcast is like the legitimacy of this attack that he did on this login screen. Like every bit of it, like we don't even need to go into it. It's just bogus. Like there was like, what were you interfacing with? What was this hacking? Oh, by going to the login screen, you had access to the server? Like what? How does this happen? Because you see him like going through directory structures and like, I don't know what, it didn't even like show him trying to brute force or anything. It was just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. And so not only does he do, get into the system after 60 seconds, but within 60 seconds, he tries and fails multiple times. Like whenever he finally gets in it, it's like his sixth time doing it. Otherwise, he gets access denied and like, oh my, like, no. I mean, the amount of stuff they show him typing and interfacing with, it's so just over the top and ridiculous. And later, a little bit later in the movie, he's talking to Gabriel and Halle Berry's character, Ginger, and they ask him like, so how did you do it? How'd you get in? And I just had to write these down because stupid. He says first that what I did was I made a logic bomb and dropped it through a trap door.
Which a logic bomb, for anyone who doesn't know, is going to destroy the computer. It's gonna render it inoperable.
And so they look at him and they go, no, you didn't. And he goes, okay, yeah, you got me. What I actually used was a password sniffer.
Which you put a password sniffer on a box. That's actually a legitimate approach, but you would have to wait for someone to try their login so that you could sniff those credentials.
And then, of course, they say like, no, you didn't. You didn't do that either. And he's like, okay, yeah, okay, you got me. And he goes, I don't know. I can just see the code in my head.
Yeah, once I get in there, I just see the code. Oh, really? What code are we talking about? Are we talking about the front end? Are we talking about the encryption? Like, what are you talking about?
Dude, and just another, just another nod to the Matrix where it's just like, what? Like, he sees code? He is the one? So ridiculous.
You hit the nail on the head. This 100% was trying to be the Matrix in real life. I am the Uber hacker type thing. 100%.
No, as we go along through this movie, I can't help it. I'm just going to point out like, and that was the Matrix, and that was the Matrix, and that was the Matrix, because it's all over this place. And I'll talk more about that a little bit later. But back to this first hacking scene, one thing that played out that I thought was hysterical, and I just had to talk. I just have to talk about it. So as we said, this takes place in this nightclub where Gabriel's at, and we see Gabriel pull up in his European car, and he literally opens the door and does this like dance move spin out of the way of the door. Like he's just so cool, gets let in. And so this whole scene's playing out in this nightclub in this VIP section. a little bit. Oh, and I just have to point out that as we're seeing Gabriel enter this nightclub, we're hearing another hacker who goes by the name of Axel Torvald, which is a nod to Linus Torvald and everything. You know, there's so many Easter eggs in this script where it's like, hey,
Stanley
we know
Jobson
computers.
with Steve Jobs, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. So he's talking about Gabriel, and this is the voiceover you hear as you see Gabriel. He says, he exists in a world beyond your world. What we only fantasize, he does. He lives a life where nothing is beyond him. So we're seeing that we're painting him as this mysterious elite, you know, like, oh my God, he's so, you know.
Well,
So-
and there's some legitimacy to that, because the ability to drive a TVR Tuscan and not have it break down from point A to point B, I mean, that's a fantasy. That's a world that none of us could ever live in.
So keep that in mind. Like, this guy is cream of the crop, primo, just you know, like, he's beyond reproach. He's in this club, a club that Gabriel would go to. This scene has already played out with the woman pleasuring Hugh Jackman, the gun to the head, the hacking. That's happening in this nightclub. If people are in a booth, they could look over their shoulder and see this happening.
Right. There's
A little bit
guns
later-
everywhere.
Yeah. So a little bit later, in the same scene, Halle Berry and Hugh Jackman are in the men's bathroom, and they're having an argument. You know, like, you need to do this job. I don't want to do this job. They're going back and forth, back and forth. Two men enter the men's bathroom. Halle Berry very quickly, really for no reason, starts making out with Hugh Jackman to, like, cover her tracks. And these two dudes in this nightclub that Gabriel would be in, a guy who is, you know, lives in a world beyond our world, they see two people making out in a bathroom, and they are immediately like, excuse me,
They're
well, I
horrified.
never,
Yeah.
we better give them some privacy.
I have to get
Like-
out of here.
What kind of nightclub is this? I mean, I've seen worse stuff in an Applebee's bathroom, and these guys are like, just like, what is going? Two people making out. Oh.
I've seen
So-
worse stuff in an Apple store. Like, this is terrible.
But I just thought that was so funny, where it's just like all this, you know, cool, sexy cyber stuff is playing out, and like, oh my God, two people making out. I better get out of here. Even though they're probably going in there to do lines. But
Right, 100%. And like,
Yeah.
also the whole, like, kissing you to cover up. That's when, I mean, that's a very common movie trope, and that's to be used when someone's trying to disguise their identity. Like,
exactly.
like, you can't see me. Those people have no idea who these two are. Like,
No, you can just literally stop talking. And
just
it's
be like,
absolutely,
"Shh, quit,
Yeah.
quit talking about the secret stuff. So anyway,
yeah.
as, you know,
How was your weekend?
yeah,
That was great.
it's good.
But they'd still be
Hack
shocked.
the
Oh my
Gibson.
God, there's a woman in the men's bathroom.
Right.
I know. A little bit later in the movie, we're introduced to Don Cheadle, who works for the FBI.
Great casting decision. I loved him in this movie. I hated the movie, but I love Don Cheadle.
I know. Anytime I see Don Cheadle, I really, really enjoy him. And I'm glad
Absolutely.
I totally forgot he was in this movie.
Same.
Because, by the way, I forgot to ask you, when is the last time you've actually seen Swordfish? Because I haven't seen it until it like premiered on HBO back in the day. So it's been legit 20 plus years since I've
20
seen this
plus
movie.
years. Absolutely. 20
Yeah.
plus years.
Yeah. I'm sure we saw it back then. It was like, no reason to revisit this. And now here we are. So yeah, you're welcome, buddy. So we get introduced to Don Cheadle. He's in, this FBI CSI looking, computers set up shop or whatever. And he's talking to two computer dorks. They always have to be dorks. One guy's wearing like a fishing cap, and he's talking to him, and they're just trying to figure out what's going on. Who are these actors? Who are these players in this scheme and everything? And one of the computer guys starts talking about Hugh Jackman's ex-wife, and that she's an adult film star and that she shoots movies and everything like that. And out of the blue, one of the dudes just holds up a VHS tape. Like,
What, did you have this? Like,
did
on
you?
hand?
Yeah, exactly. Like, because this scene just played out. So you had that on you at work. Gross, dude. Yeah, he's very thorough with his research, but gross.
Yeah. Like, why would you produce that? Why would you have that? So you're doing some research ahead of time, because remember, they only discovered that this was Stanley Jobson when they're doing their like on-demand video surveillance, and of course, you knew exactly who that was from the very grainy, crappy video feed, I'm sure.
Oh, I know. And then, of course, in the same scene, we get a zoom in and enhance.
Yes.
Love it when they do that. And this one's a good one because it zoom ins and enhances. And I will say that the enhancement's not out of the question, but what is out of the question is that whenever it goes to the enhanced version, the camera angle has completely changed.
Correct. Right.
And
it's a completely different picture.
I love it when that happens, where it's like, oh, here's this speed from definitely like 15 feet above them, and now we're slightly looking up towards them. Like, what? Come on, guys.
Not to get off on a tangent, but the whole zoom in and enhance really ruined my early post-college career as a graphic designer, just trying to feed myself. Like, just people would come in and be like, well, you can zoom in and enhance this, no problem, right? No, you can't.
Not if the information's not there.
That's right.
Yeah. So the whole thrust of this movie is that Gabriel wants to steal this $9 billion from these accounts, and he's going to use Hugh Jackman's skills as not only a hacker, but apparently he can build a worm because a virus. Because what Gabriel says is that he needs a worm, no, a hydra, a multi-headed worm to, I guess, infect the system and cover their tracks after they steal the money,
or like you cut off one head of the hydra and it keeps stealing the money. Like, what is this? I was watching and just wondering, like, I don't understand any of this.
Yeah, me neither. But we get into Gabriel's his own setup at his little stronghold.
Oh my God, yes.
We see the setup, and it's if you can believe it, Garrett. If you can believe it, listeners, it's 7 monitors.
It's 7 monitors on like a Bed Bath & Beyond store display, like with little lamps sticking out of it and stuff. They're not in any way connected or butted up against one another. I mean, Andy, back in the day when we were running multiple monitors and they were CRT monitors, even then we had them squished next to each other, even though the bezel was like, 4 inches thick.
Exactly.
We still had them squished against one another.
It looks so terrible.
It's
like
so
there's
bad.
no person would set up their monitors that way. They're not in any kind of structure. They're just a blob of 7 monitors. And again, want to point out, that's the Matrix. That's the setup on the Nebuchadnezzar.
Exactly it.
And so it's like, oh, Matrix there too.
But that was because obviously they're reusing like old discarded parts, and they were just kind of like making their own Frankenstein multi-monitor display. It fit in the Matrix. It did not fit in here.
Exactly.
My one thing that I thought was whatever poor intern had to synchronize the screensaver that went around all the monitors, like that had to have taken forever.
Yeah, no joke. I want to ask, and they say, so it has 7 monitors, and they're talking about his setup, that it has a DS3 connection, which allows 7 different networks simultaneously.
Okay.
So as is, canon on this podcast, I don't know a lot about computers, but Garrett, a DS3 connection, which allows 7 different networks simultaneously, like, what do you think what does that mean? Is that like the equivalent of tabs? Like, you could have the DoD database up on this screen, and then the FBI on this one, and air traffic controller and this one. Like, is that what they're trying to get at? Or
so this really rubbed me the wrong way. I like had to pause it and kind of like cry for a second, because DS3 is a real thing. Okay. It describes the digital signal of a T carrier, but like you would never say I have a DS3 connection. You would say I have a T3 line or a T1 line. Like that's how you would describe it. Also, DS3 back in the day, it was, I mean, T3 DS3, it was pretty high out, or high ingress egress. It was probably like 45 megabits per second or something like that. But even then, like exactly what you're saying, it provided connections to 7 networks. Like, you mean network cards? Like we had those even without a T3 line, but maybe what it meant was like you could have 7 concurrent discrete connections to different environments or something like that, which I mean even then that's possible without 7 different connections. But there's just so much wrong with that. Like you wouldn't have that. It's not how it's built. So anyway, that one really stuck in my craw, and I was like, wow, they really didn't do their homework, or they started to. They saw DS3, they're like, yeah, DS3, that sounds great, pop it in.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's not the last time we'll hear DS3 connection, because I believe they say it like 2 other times throughout the movie in different scenarios, and it's like, again, it's just one of those things like the Claymore where somebody just hears something and is told like, no, that's legit, and like, cool, I'm just going to put it everywhere. Just the same where this movie constantly ups the bits of encryption for in dialogue to where somebody but like me in 2001 or my mom or dad going like, oh, that sounds serious.
More numbers. That's
more
crazy.
numbers.
It's
Wow,
not
because
128, it's 512. No, it's 1024.
Exactly. They just every time throughout the movie they keep not only escalating the stakes but escalating the bit encryption. And it was just like, come on. I mean, I'm pretty sure 512 would have worked in all these situations.
512 would have worked. I mean, we still use 512 AES on plenty of stuff, but like they do drop some real kind of references in there, which I found surprising. And why they chose them was, I would love to know why, like the Vernum cipher. Like, why did they choose the Vernum cipher? It's a very specific use algorithm to use in encryption, and why they chose that one, probably because it sounded cool. Yeah, because they didn't want to use, ROT 13, or they didn't know what a Visionaire was. I don't know.
But no, I mean, it sounds cool. The Vernum cipher. I mean, that's what this movie should have been called. Would have made more sense.
100%.
The Vernum cipher. Jumping around here, one thing I wanted to point out is Jobson, Hugh Jackman's character. He can't legally visit his daughter, because he went to prison and everything. But his, the mother, we already talked about, adult film star, just substance abuser. She's just out of it, doesn't care. At one point, Hugh Jackman goes to see his daughter, and in this scene, we see the daughter coming out of school with the rest of the kids, and they're hanging out and they're doing everything, and then we show dissolves in passage of time that she's been left. She even calls her mom. We see the mom passed out. Like she's been there for minimum, because it's also like sunset now, and it was bright in the beginning of the scene. So it's legit been at least like 2 hours or something like that she's just been waiting at the school. And he just shows up in the taxi and he's like, hey, what's up? Like, what, you knew your daughter was going to still be at school at 5:30 in the afternoon, or you just don't know when school hours are? I thought that was really funny. Also, whenever the daughter calls the mom, she's on a cell phone, but it's not a cell phone. It's a cordless phone, because you can see the charging butt on it. And that just made me crack up. Like, nobody will notice that stuff. It doesn't have a wire, right? It's a cell phone.
Well, and as parents, like we watch this and the teacher comes out. She's like, oh, is your mom going to be late? Or does no one come to pick you up? She's like, yeah, no, don't worry about it. I'm going to figure it out. And the teacher's like, oh, okay, sounds good. And walks right back in. Like, what?
I know. Yeah. Hey man, pre 9/11, it was crazy.
It was crazy. Can we also mention that child was dressed like a cross between like a 70s hippie and like a character from Babes in Toyland? Like very, very strangely dressed child.
It was super weird. I was getting Reality Bites vibes, where it's just like, what is going on here? But yeah, no, the The scarf on the it
Very
was
strange.
very strong choice. Costume designer, top notch. Actually, I should look it up. They probably have an Oscar.
It probably was couture. It was
Yeah,
probably like designed
exactly.
by, I don't know, fashion, but someone famous.
I want to point out that Jobson went to jail because he hacked into they say he hacked into the FBI's carnivore program.
This was interesting.
And the carnivore program apparently was a mass email surveillance program that the FBI set up, and he hacked into it, brought it to the light of day, and he was thrown in jail for 2 years because of it. And thought that was pretty interesting because, like I said, this movie comes out 3 months before 9/11, and like a year or two before mainstream media really starts getting a hold of these whistleblowers and mass surveillance and everything like that. So,
well, like references to the NSA, which was not a well-known organization at that time, like that was still, and again, I'm just kind of speculating because I'm on a recording, but people who worked for the NSA would kind of revel in the fact that it was no such agency because not a lot of people knew about the NSA, yet they were dropping stuff about this in the movie. I found that pretty interesting. And then the carnivore program, of course, we learn years and years later is like real. I mean, it wasn't called carnivore, but we, absolutely had surveillance of, our citizens going on. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I thought so too.
Wonder what consultant they got to divulge that information.
Yes, they got the real Gabriel. So in this heist that they're going to pull for operation to get the I just had to write this down to get the Operation Swordfish funds. The plan is to get the funds from the government shell companies. They are going to go over the phone lines, pop the firewall, drop in the Hydra. Just that simple. It's great.
Yeah.
So he tells,
that's not how that works.
Yeah. So Gabriel tells, that's the plan that he gives to Jobson, that we are going to go over the phone lines, pop the firewall, drop in the Hydra. And then what happens is we get an excellent,
our favorite thing ever.
This montage of Hugh Jackman's character making the Hydra. It is, so he's at Gabriel's setup with the 7 monitors. If you haven't seen it, just picture the 7 monitors. And he's on a wine and cigarette fueled bender where he is typing his heart out, testing out this virus. Oh, it doesn't work. The animation broke apart. It lost its integrity, and typing to the point where he's literally standing and like shucking and jiving and typing on the keyboard like he's Jerry Lee Lewis or something. And just
this
like
the best acting of the whole movie.
Yeah. I mean, dude,
he starts like clapping when he gets something right. I'm like, yeah, that's how it's done.
Yeah, spinning in his chair. Of course, we get the scene where he's like, the virus exploded in the animation. Of course, it doesn't work. And he sits on a couch and he's smoking and drinking. And then, wait a minute, I just had an epiphany. Goes back to the keyboard. Yeah. It's I don't understand.
I need to use the Vernon cipher.
Yeah. Man, it is straight up like, I mean, this is where Hugh Jackman's Broadway comes into play, because I mean, if this Swordfish was a play, I would expect to see that scene play out that way. Big, with lots of movement and
bravado.
Everything. Exactly. It's just
the stereotypical scene where they're dancing in front of the mirror backstage or something. Like, this is his moment.
Yeah. And man, if you watch him type on a keyboard, they don't even try. He's literally just like gobbing at it with his paws. Like there's no articulation in the fingers whatsoever. It's literally like, I just hit 10 keys at once and then I shift to the right. I just hit another 10 keys at once. It's ridiculous.
He was not a computer operator. We can say that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. He was treading the boards. He didn't have time to be on a computer like us dorks. After he's celebrating, he's just figured out how to build this Hydra. He's run out of wine. He goes down to the wine cellar to grab another bottle, and he sees a cadaver that is made to look just like John Travolta. It's Chekhov's cadaver. It will obviously play a role later in the movie.
Which improperly used, in my opinion. Like, he didn't need to inject that in that scene. That's not how that happens. Like,
no. I completely agree. So what ends up happening is they're going to pull off the heist, and we've already seen with the claymore explosion at the beginning of the movie to draw you in. That happened. We would flash back to 4 days earlier, and movie plays out. Now we are back at this claymore explosion, this bank heist. They drive their Hummers and everything, their big vehicles, just into the bank. And they are going to, because this bank is part of the network of where they want to steal these funds from.
Right. It's a world bank as opposed to
yes,
a local branch.
Yeah, it's the World Bonk.
World
it's got a C.
That's right. That's right.
So they get into the building, and they immediately go to the, some kind of manager type, and he asks for a key. I love the way this scene played out. He asks the manager for a key. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Car almost runs him over. Oh, okay, here's the key.
Here's the key.
I think he's going to take this key, like in any other movie, and go to some like basement secure location with a vault or something like that. Nope. He turns around, just does a 180, and there's a bank of plexiglass sliding doors with servers behind it, and he just goes, thanks. Boop, and the plexiglass door slides open.
But anyone who runs bank IT knows that the server room is always located inside the bank manager's office.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously.
I mean, you want all that noise to mask your conversations that you're having.
It's not loud. It's not hot at all.
Yeah, no, right. Exactly. Yeah. And it looks cool. I mean,
just another thing that just makes us realize that there's no basis in reality in this whatsoever. Like, no one with actual experience using that equipment had any say here. They're like, no, it looks cool. There's wires. And I mean, at least they use real servers. Like, there's like an F5 in there. There's some Dell, servers in there. They're using real stuff, which I found interesting.
So then Gabriel has to drop in his Hydra. Excuse me. I keep saying worm.
Well, it's a Hydra, and you get it together.
Drops in this Hydra, and I always love it in hacking movies when we have a visual representation of the hack happening, of the virus infecting, that somebody took the time to actually put in all that code so we could get a visual representation instead of just seeing lines of commands going by the screen or something. Like, no, I want
just a progress indicator,
I want a 3D element, with this and that and lines, and I love it that they take the time to do that. That's probably what Jobson was really having the trouble with. He got the Hydra to work.
Right.
He was just trying to get this animation to not like, it's why is it going along the y-axis for no reason? Right. I need to put in another keyframe.
Continuity error.
So they get into there, they start stealing the money. And then, of course, Jobson drops in a little Easter egg, or whatever you want to call it, that he did it wrong in the code. It was supposed to happen 6 hours later, but it happened 60 seconds later, that all the money that they stole ends up getting drained out again and redistributed. So, Gabriel ends up with nothing. They catch this, and they tell Jobson to fix it.
Well, I'm such a nerd too, because I wondered, how could he have gotten the delay wrong from 60 seconds to 6 hours? Because that's not like a decimal, like you missed a zero or something. Like, that's a totally different computation. Like, he really screwed that one up.
And then we get into the big climax of the film.
Okay, the good part of the movie.
The part that's actually like at least entertaining and kind of comes into its own at the end, because this whole movie throughout just feels like this hodgepodge of concepts and ideas that we've all seen. Nothing really feels original. And even this ending doesn't feel original, but at least they crank it up to 11, and it's silly, fun, and honestly, man, still pretty impressive. Like, some of these shots where they're towing this bus by the helicopter through the city are like God damn, like that
Yeah.
looks awesome.
That looks like it was difficult to make and shoot. Yeah.
And so what we get into is they have a helicopter. They have this bus filled with hostages. All the hostages are wearing Claymore mine vests. Hey, there we go. More Claymore
Of course,
mines.
more claymores.
We've already seen one explode because they tested the dog collar thing.
Uh-huh.
And it's being towed through the city. We think the FBI thinks they're going to go to the airport where a jet is waiting for them, but through misdirection and
Plot
smoke and
twist.
mirrors, they end up on another high rise where a helicopter is waiting, and John Travolta and his crew get in the helicopter, and Hugh Jackman grabs a rocket launcher that Vinnie Jones very conveniently showed him because it's all part of the smoke and mirrors and misdirection.
Uh-huh.
Blows up the helicopter. It legit explodes, and then I have to imagine falls 30 or 40 stories at least to the streets below.
Right.
They get to the morgue because they have to identify the body. I will say that this body looks great.
Lightly charred.
Yeah, lightly charred. This body exploded and fell 40 stories in a burning fireball of metal. And it's just like, oh, one side's kind of burnt.
Yeah,
So it
not
looks
fascinated by like, body stuff and murder and things like that. But even I know you explode a body with a rocket launcher and you drop it 40 stories, like it's not going to be intact.
Oh, no, not at all. And the body is intact because we can see the shape under the thing. That thing
It looks like John Travolta.
should have been a torso.
Right.
Yeah. And then, okay. And so I say all that because here's where the movie becomes The Usual Suspects. Because through flashback of audio and visuals, Hugh Jackman starts putting together the whole Kaiser Soze of it all, that, we don't have a DEA agent matching Halle Berry's description or name or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, what? And then we saw the cadaver earlier. Oh my God, what? Vinnie Jones made sure I saw the rocket launcher. And thank God Hugh Jackman knows how to operate a rocket launcher.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Those things are not, like I would know, but those things are not easy to load, calibrate, aim, get on target on a moving helicopter.
No, and like that
what?
one looks pretty sophisticated. Like it has electronics and LED screens and everything.
Absolutely.
And I was like, okay. I mean, because if I was Hugh Jackman's character and they took off, I'd be like, see you later, loser.
Later, y'all.
I'm free, at least.
Yeah, I'm going to go see my daughter. Also, That's the other thing. You sit there and you blow up a helicopter. You shoot off a very dangerous device. You probably cause, all the shrapnel and stuff exploding into the street. Like, oh, there were no repercussions for Hugh Jackman doing that? I'm sorry. What?
Exactly.
Oh, we'll be in touch later.
Yeah, there are, through all these action sequences, so many innocent people are just dying.
Yeah, no big deal.
And then we cut to the end of the movie. We're still hearing all the Kaiser Soze stuff. And then, yeah, sure enough, he obviously switched out the body. He's got the $9 billion, and then he rides off into the sunset, like we said, where he is carrying out his plan of retaliating against terrorists, because we hear the news report of, a known terrorist, blah, 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 was blown up on his yacht, the third type of attack in a week, or whatever. So he's carrying out his black cell operation. Meanwhile, just killing anybody who gets in his way. He's a terrible person. But I want to go through the movie real quick and talk about so this Usual Suspects thing was like, good Lord, dude. Like, it's just blatant. So much so that there's a scene when the bus is flying through the city. They cut to a business meeting in a high rise. There's a guy with a coffee mug, and he's talking and sipping from the mug, and he looks out the window and he sees the bus coming, and straight up Usual Suspect style,
drops
the mug.
That's right.
We see it fall from 3 different angles, all in slow motion. We see it shatter in slow motion. The only thing it's missing is the shot of the bottom of the cup that says Kobayashi.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been awesome if they showed it and it said like Swordfish, or had a picture of a swordfish or something like that.
Yes. Such a blatant ripoff. You're right.
Dude, such a blatant ripoff. And one of the things that go with me here. This is not going to make any sense, and I know I'm being stupid, but it's how I feel in my heart is that Joel Silver is the producer of this movie.
Okay.
And Joel Silver, if you don't know who he is a titan among producers. If you don't know who he is, you've seen his movies. And through the 80s and 90s, he was a juggernaut. He's still working today, still making movies. But 80s and 90s were like his, oh my God. So I feel like Joel Silver was the algorithm before the algorithm. And what I mean by that is today, for me, if I watch a movie, and I'm specifically talking about movies that are original to Netflix or Disney Plus, like these original movies that they crank out, when I watch them, I have the sense that somebody sat in front of a computer and uploaded, hit movies for the past 30 years and told ChatGPT or whatever, write me a movie about this.
Uh-huh.
And so what you end up with is a movie that doesn't feel original, but feels familiar, and you'll have concepts and set pieces where it's like, oh, let's take a little bit of Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark and throw in a dash of this, and it's like, oh, this all feels familiar and like I should like it, but it doesn't have a soul to it. Like it doesn't feel, I don't know, okay. And so you end up with the movies like, it's fine, whatever.
Like it's a pastiche of old movie tropes or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have an original voice. And
No,
with
it
Joel
doesn't.
Silver, and he's not like this with all of his movies, but I feel like that dude, more than anyone in the producing world, is that algorithm where he's like, I'm going to cannibalize my own films and films that I just feel like he's mad he didn't produce.
Uh-huh.
And because this movie is straight up The Matrix meets Speed meets Usual Suspects,
Absolutely.
plus some other stuff in there.
Yes.
All the Matrix stuff with the way it looks, with the way gunfights happen, where they're very flamboyant and bold, like where he stands up out of the car with the two Uzis, has a huge machine gun, cars are exploding for no reason.
Yes.
Feels very Matrixy. The helicopter scene at the end, that is the Matrix, except there's a bus at the end of this one. And then the whole Speed element, it feels like Ron Silver was mad he didn't produce Speed. And it's like, oh, well, Speed has a bomb on a bus and it has to jump a gap in an overpass. Well, I'm going to have 30 bombs on my bus and it's going to fly.
That's right.
And and then we have the whole Usual Suspects down to the coffee mug. Like that's blatant. That's not
sealed the deal. Right.
Yeah. And so
and I wonder if they thought that was like a nod, like, from one movie guy to another, like, I'm going to nod to your. But
it has to be.
But it didn't come off that way. It came off as a ripoff.
Exactly.
My kind of takeaway from this, and you have this in your notes, which I also read, is that this was such a offense to those of us that were actually, in, we'll call it research and development of, computer and network security back in the day, that Warner Brothers approached 2600, the Hacker Quarterly, which is a very legit publication, and they asked if they could use references to 2600. And very quickly, Emmanuel Goldstein was like, absolutely not. Like, not only because I think this movie is likely BS, but Warner Brothers was in the process of suing 2600 because they published evidence on how to decrypt the DCSS, movie,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that was. Or no, is that what it was? DCSS, something like that. Anyway,
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt kind of vindicated and like, oh, good. Emmanuel told him to kick rocks and you can't use my name in that film.
Yeah. No, that's bold of them to ask.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, we know we're suing you, but hey, can we use it?
No big deal.
No. Well, we could talk about this movie forever, but I think that's enough for today. Garrett, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I can't wait to do the next one.
Absolutely. And listeners, thanks for listening. Wherever you're listening, please rate and subscribe. It really helps us. And I want to hear from you. Head over to thwack.com, look for Movies and Mainframes, leave me a comment, and you can always reach us at moviesandmainframes@solarwinds.com. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Until the next time, we are going to log off, and we will see you later. Bye, everyone.
Movies and Mainframes.